How to be a good mom. Is there any definition of what is a good mom means? Or is it just by becoming a mom, you have already think that, yes, you have the heaven underneath your feet and everybody is just, bound to you because, you had to carry a baby in your womb, or even for some of us who have, had to, adopt a child and go through those process. Absolutely, it's a privilege to become a parent, to become a mom. And today I want to talk to you about that. Well, my name is Helia Singh. I'm a wealth coach. And today's episode, as part of my interviews with female coaches, I would like to talk about this important topic as being a mom. And what does it mean being a good mom? We all have come from different culture, different upbringing, different society. And of course, now we are looking at the TV commercials and we are just, some of us get, confused about, oh, what am I doing? Is what I'm doing is actually being a good mom, or is it now being too sensitive or too friendly or too maybe restrictive parent? We get lost. Well, I have two grown-up children and it's not getting easier. But today I want to talk about that with my beautiful friend and a relationship coach. And she's actually a mom responsive coach. So that's why we want to talk to her. And without further ado, I want to introduce my friend, Elise Peck. Hi, Elise. Thank you very much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I loved your intro. I love the discussion. And I think such an important topic because I really, to your point, think that the idea of mother can get lost in a lot of marketing, a lot of noise, and a lot of cultural brainwashing, which is trying to drive a lot of mothers away from their biological urges and their primal instincts. And so I think it's just such a powerful question to ask, what does it mean to be a good mom? And I just want to pop in there that I think a lot of it has to do with realizing that motherhood is a place to go to give. It is a place that you've decided to sign up for commitment, for responsibility, for selfless devotion, and to have something outside of you that becomes more important, right? That is now the future. And I think it's part of growing up. You make your transition from maiden to mother in the decision that now there's something outside of myself that is more important than me.
Thank you. Absolutely. I really mean it when I say that, we are privileged to have kids. But for some people, I've seen it, I'm sure you've seen it, and being part of a mother's group or even here and there, you hear them, they just think that their child has become one of their projects. So, but again, I've never dared to question them or say to them anything, but it just reflects on myself that say, oh, maybe what I'm doing is not right. Maybe I'm supposed to do that. You're just getting lost there, especially if that happens by women who are in charge, they are CEOs, and they've got something, in the society or people looking up to them. So somehow they'll become a role model. So that's why it just makes it difficult for the younger generation to understand, hey, what is it to be a good mom? What's your definition, please, as a coach?
Oh, I would love to pop something in there, just to touch on that idea of when a mother is using a child to fulfill their own needs, right? And you and I met through mutual training, right? We there's a company that we've both got coaching. You've done their coaching training, is that right? Yeah.
That's right, yes.
We've both done their coaching training, and it's authentic education. And in their coaching training, there's a part that speaks about shadow values, which is essentially our favorite feelings, the feelings that we love to feel the most. And there's a concept where if you don't really take control and identify your own shadow and what your favorite feelings are, you will seek to get those needs met in unhealthy ways. And I think what's going on often with some parents is they haven't become self-aware of their true needs, taken responsibility for making sure that those are met. And so what happens is it leaks out, and they now try to use this child as a source. They dominate it to feel superior. They get their source of superiority. They try to control it to get their source of control. And all of this sort of stuff, that's why the child becomes a project, because the parent is not sort of integrated with their own shadow self. And And that's where you see this kind of, it's a step away from the primal maternal urge for putting a child, and instead it's like the ego has taken over, and it's more of the egoic parenting rather than what some call the conscious parenting, which is like, whoa, I'm aware of that ego and I'm going to put that down, and then I'm going to step back and I'm going to think what is really good for the child. So in terms of what my definition is of a good mother, it is someone that has gone to mothering with the intent to really give love, care, nurturing, protection to something else. It is someone that has gone to motherhood with the intent to give, to be of service. You know, it's not someone who's decided I'm bored, so maybe I'll have a child, or I need entertainment, so maybe I'll have a child. I need something for myself, so I'll have a child. No, it is, I mean, usually there's a hormonal urge, right? And then there should be the instinctive urge of, now this is a thing that I'm going to move life forward. I'm going to create a legacy, and I'm going to help the species by contributing something. And in this way, I'm going to give to this thing so that it can grow up, be strong, be resilient, and do its best to move our species forward. And I really think a good mum is one that decides that they want to give their best to this child for this child. And usually that involves trying to improve on the generation before, just doing what they can to give this child the best start to life possible, and making it about what can I give to this child, not what can I get.
Appreciate that. But I truly believe that because we been obviously, humans from the beginning. I mean, it was just part of their, biological, evolution that, okay, yes, grow up, get married, or, have child. And then this is how generations of humans were born. There was never a definition of, okay, how to become a good one. It's just by giving birth, immediately just was given to you that, okay, you've done your job. But now to bring that topic in there, so just to be consciously knowing of what are you doing and what is the intention of having a child, I think that's absolutely a deal breaker there for some people, because some people, they don't even know, never even thought about that. They just think I'm supposed to do it. So to bring that one into this discussion, how we are intending, or how you are planning to bring this one to people, because I know for those of who are ready and they know that there must be more into being a good mother and they like to find that, I'm sure they can get in touch with you and find out more. But I believe, and I know you, so it is, your mission is more than that. So you are an activist. How to bring that topic as a woman, so even like myself, or even our listeners, to make people sure to understand and find out more about this. What's your view there?
Well, I'm using basic mindset coaching principles, which is finding out what people want, finding out how they're currently getting it, and then making them realize they're going to get significantly more of what they want from doing a good job as a mother. So right now, I was watching The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and there's a mum on there, and she's got a 4-month-old baby, and she's got 3 nannies and whatever, and she's like, look, I love my kids, but I don't have my lifestyle doesn't afford me to look after them, so I get nannies, right? And then what's her lifestyle? Her lifestyle is parties and dinners, right? So what's going on is that she has figured out, she thinks she's getting all of that person's ego is in charge, right? She's lost contact with a primal instinct and the maternal instinct there, and the ego is running that show. So for someone like that, that's often what we're dealing with, the people that think, I don't want to let go of my status, I don't want to let go of this, I don't want to blah, blah, blah. You've got to help them realize how they're going to get significantly more of those feelings from being a good mum. So basically, okay, you go to the party and you talk to the fabulous people and you have fabulous food and you have interesting people. What is that really getting you? What is that really getting you? Okay, that's getting you feel important, you feel powerful, so it's about sort of messaging and bringing awareness to, you're going to get way more of that by being a good mum. How are you going to get way more of that over here, right? And not by being like an exploitative mum, like we said before. We don't want it to go the other way and they get all their shadow out of their child in a maladaptive way. It's got to be attached to what are they really going to get out out of being a good mum, right? And so in that instance, you want to connect it to their future. Okay, at 70 years, 80 years, what do you want your relationship with your children to be like? What do you want for your children? Because a lot of the people that don't want to sacrifice in the short term, they're not thinking long term. They're not thinking about, okay, but how much of lack of superiority are you going to get when your child becomes, a drug addict, or is having a really hard time because they didn't get the connection, their mental health was not supported. So you just really want to put a message out there that makes people get a big enough why and a big enough reason to actually think, okay, it's worth being a good mum. Now, this is obviously not for a lot of mums that have the natural instinct, right? They have this instinct, but this is for the mums where the ego is running the show. They bought into the commercialized view of motherhood, which is like, oh, it's all about buying the pram, buying things, doing the nursery, showing the photos on Facebook. We want to help those ones to actually nurture the next generation in a way that's going to be good for the next generation. And by doing that, you want to say, okay, what are you getting out of not being a good mum? And let's see how I can get way more over here by being a responsive good mum. And the way I do it is I connect a lot of science. I show a lot of data and science on the impacts of maternal deprivation, of maternal separation, and really traumatic experiences like leaving a baby screaming on their own and not helping to regulate them. I connect, okay, what's that going to mean long term for that child, and how's that going to be painful for you long term? How can you avoid that pain now by doing something different now? So that's my approach at the moment. Yeah.
Amazing. Really appreciate that. Yes, absolutely. I think it's the way I see it. My kids are my legacy as well. So that's of course, if let's say I couldn't do anything else in my life, okay, let's say my work, my coaching, my achievements, but if I raise my kids in a way that they can make the life better or the world better by being there, so that's my legacy is done. So it's just all about them, their future. But while we are actually obviously working in ourselves as a human, not to absolutely neglect ourselves, but just looking at the bigger picture. I really like that view. So even though consciously I was doing it, so subconsciously I was doing it, but then now to know that, yes, this is how we can help others to look at that. I believe that your coaching and your message will be so helpful in schools.
Yeah. Yeah.
So because there are unfortunately a lot of teenage moms out there, which whether it was by choice or by accident, they become a mom. And so I can only imagine how frustrating and devastating experiences for them that they don't even know themselves yet, let alone to look after another human being. So to be consciously being a good mom.
Yes. I don't want to miss this point. Sorry to cut in here, but
sure.
On the teenagers, this is when you see the principles of romantic relationships come into play. The extent to which you were able to move through conflict and whatever romantically is often the extent to which you can support a teenager, because they both require the same skill set, which is the ability to mirror, validate, and empathize someone else, and to let them sit and have their own emotions. So with teenagers, this is more a lot of the work I do in the motherhood space is more on supporting mothers that are in the early stages. So they've got infants and babies, and they really want to be a responsive parent. They don't have enough support. So I'm more focused on that time period. But when it comes to teenagers, this is when your relationship skill set, so the same skill set you need in romantic relationships and platonic relationships, this is when it becomes important with teenagers. With also more additional guidance in there than you would give to a friend or a partner. Mm-hmm. But this is when it becomes so important to be able to hold space and create a safe environment for our teenagers to talk to us, to come to us, to be honest with us, and to share all their feelings with us, to create a lot of connection. Because teenagers need a lot of connection. And they're going through a lot. And if we kind of are shaming and correcting and not allowing them to come to us and be their full selves, they're not going to get that much connection, and then they're going to look to other places to get those feelings. Like their peers are very important to teenagers, and they're very influential. And they're going to start, because connection is so important. So you really want to also be a source of that, so that you maintain some influence mm-hmm. in their life, and also they have a safe base to come to. And the other thing is that look, addiction is a really difficult topic, and it's got a lot of it's complex, and they've shown that, there's just some innate things in some people's brains that make them more susceptible to addiction, like impulse control, like being a sign tracker instead of it, like basically noticing cues and things in their environment more. There's certain things that are biological, but there's other parts that are to do with nurture. And it has been shown that, in rodent studies, when you deprive rodents of connection, they will overdose themselves on drugs. If you give them amusement and connection, they won't take the drugs. And so I think this is important information to realize, that our biggest kind of armory against difficult stuff in teenage years is to know how to create secure connection with teenagers. And yeah, I agree that I think it should be taught in schools how to be a secure base, how to create secure connection, because a lot of people are parenting through control, not connection, and it all falls apart once their children reach the teenage and adult years, because they're still trying to control it. And, the puppy dog's grown up into a dog and is saying, well, I'm big enough now to not listen to you. And all you have left is that relationship. All you have left is that connection. So you need to know how to build that connection if you want to have any level of influence or, participation in this child's life. Yeah.
So thank you so much for that. While I was just you're chatting, I was just imagining that what would be the world look like if all the kids, at least now next generation, whoever is born, it was born out of a conscious parenting. Yeah. A mom who have decided that, yes, I want to bring a human to this world, and I want to make my best. And if I need help, I'll reach out and get help to produce a good human being. I think that will be perhaps our only way to somehow, make the world better, or just get, because now with all the rise of AI and the robots and everything, so that conscious parenting is the only thing that can actually stand against that robots to take over, because it seems some parents are actually robotically, they are doing parenting.
Yeah.
There is no emotions, no conscious in there.
It's the foundation of everything. So the way that you are raised in childhood becomes your blueprint for what you'll look for in romantic relationships. So mothers, how we care for our children, it has the ability to completely change the world and to have a widespread impact of either connection or disconnection. And if we parent through connection, we're giving children the blueprint of connection. And connection is really what is the number one human driver and what saves the world. It's when we don't have connection, we go nuts and do all sorts of stuff to try and get it. We'll numb ourselves with drugs. We will try and buy all the things to try and be impressive, thinking that might get us the connection that we want, but really it's a waste, because we need to actually be working on our connection skills, not our ability to be more impressive. And this all just starts with how we parent our children, because how we parent our children is their blueprint for how they then move through the world and for the kind of relationships they form later on. It's just, I think mothering, maternal care, it's so vital. And in animal studies, when there's deprivation of maternal care, it leads to increased psychiatric disorders, it leads to increased diagnoses of depression, anxiety, and a lot of disease. It's so important, and yet at the moment it's not anywhere near as valued as jobs that create money for the economy. But it's the thing that has the power to change the world the most, and to change the mental health outcomes and the future of humans. So I think it's so important that we get it right.
Very true. You are onto something great, Elise. I know that. Well, we can't go back and change our parents and grandparents, but we are responsible for now make the change now. So hopefully the next generation will raise up in a way that they will be a conscious parent. So even like for those who have already been parent, like myself, I've got a teenage kid, so perhaps I cannot go back and fix a few things that I wish I wouldn't done or I wouldn't have done. But now the main thing is now next generation. What are the top 3 tips you can give us that, okay, now like I have a teenage daughter, so what to teach them, or my son, so then they'll be a conscious parent one day.
Yes. Okay. The number one thing that I want to say is learning how to connect with someone through conflict. And that is using the Imago Dialogue by Harville Hendricks and Helen Kelly Hunt, which is a simple framework which everyone needs to know, which is knowing how to mirror someone, how to validate someone, and how to empathize with someone. This has the power to change the world. So basically, if you're having a hard time with someone you can't see eye to eye and you have conflict, and the reason I deal with speaking about conflict is that really repair is your core skill set for good relationships, because conflict is inevitable. It's not a good idea to plan to avoid conflict. It's a good idea to know how to deal with conflict, because conflict is normal. But it's the repair that's important. We need to know how to repair. And that works by being able to take turns listening to someone fully and not defending or criticizing what they've been said, mirroring back what I'm hearing is, and then mirroring back exactly what they've said. And I'm saying, is that correct? Right? And then they say, yes. You say, is there more on that? And you let them get their full story out. And so many people do not let someone else do this. They don't want to hear their side. They want to make them wrong. They want to correct it. It takes a lot of impulse control, but it's very healing if you just let someone get the full story out. Next, so important, is validating them. You need to be able to validate, you know what? Your feelings make sense. Given everything you've just told me, not that you're agreeing with their side of the story, not that you're getting rid of your side of the story, but given their framework of the world, given the way they're seeing things, given everything they've showed with you, their feeling makes sense. You know what? It makes sense you're really upset. We'll need to hear. They need to hear, I hear your version of reality, and I hear why it's upsetting. And then the third step is empathize. This is so important. People need to know you care, right? Just being able to say, you know what? I really care that you're feeling this way. I care about how hard this has been for you. I really see your struggle. It makes sense that you're struggling this way. And I really care that you're going through this. This skill set, like anyone that can talk, needs a skill set. So that's my first thing, is if parents could start doing that for their children, that would teach their children how to do it, because children imitate. You're a role model. What you do for them becomes how they then treat other people. So if you start doing this for your children, they'll learn the skill set and they'll just find themselves naturally doing this to a child, because it's the blueprint you've handed them. The second thing I would say is to trust Mother Nature. Okay, when it comes to raising babies, trust that a baby cries for a reason and you get an instinctual response for a reason. Trust that you want to hold your baby at all times for a reason. Trust that the baby wants to be close to you and sleep on you and near you for a reason. Like, trust Mother Nature, because all other mammals do. No other mammals have constructed artificial situations where children have to be separated and left and their cries are ignored. No other mammals have done this. And we didn't do it for the thousands and thousands and thousands of years of evolution. We only started this last 100 years. It was never tested. It was never, seen to be, it was introduced as a cultural kind of trend rather than something based in science that was shown to not be harmful. And it was a diversion. It was a move away from Mother Nature. So we need to go back to what we know is adaptive for human biology, which is baby cries and a mom gets a response because the baby needs to be held. That you just respond to the baby as much as you can. This is not spoiling a baby. This is being a mammal mother. This is what nature wants you to do. It's why you've got the instinct to do it. And the third thing I would say is really find a way, whether that's with a coach, whether that's with journaling, whether that is meditation, find a way to stay connected to yourself, because we're all always being marketed to, we're always being influenced, we're always being brainwashed, we're always being conditioned. We have marketing everywhere. We have just the ways that the society wants to run. They want us to think and subscribe to a certain way. It becomes so important that you get clear enough at times to actually feel what you want to do, because it's a painful regret as a mum to look back and think, oh, I wanted to hold my baby, but everyone told me not to. Everyone told me, but that wasn't what you were telling yourself. And I think the power to listen to yourself, even if everyone around you is saying differently, is so important. And I think that's a really important skill set for the next generations is, learn how to hold space with people, trust Mother Nature, and be strong enough, get the support around you or the practices around you to be strong enough to trust yourself in the face of influence and people trying to distract you and to commercial. I mean, motherhood has been so commercialized. Now they want you to buy the milk. They want you to buy, the breast, the dummy. They want you to buy, they want everything you got to buy it all now, right? It's been commercialized and you're told this is what you want to do because more people are going to make sales, right? When I remember when I was pregnant and a woman said to me, all you really need is is your breasts.
That's it.
Your arms, and you're good.
Yeah.
And I think so much wisdom to that, but no one can sell you that, right? So you need to just kind of try to stay primal as much as you can, because that baby's biology has really not evolved to be at all adapted to all the stuff we're doing now. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yes, I think especially the last tips you gave you, that listen to that intuition that we have as a mother. Trust it.
Yes.
Trust your motherly instinct.
Yes.
Yes. No, it is very powerful. Very, very powerful.
And our babies are relying on us to do this because they don't have a voice. They can't campaign for themselves.
Yes.
They're completely helpless. All they have is a mother's instinct and her willingness to protect and provide for them. Like you are their whole world. So if not for yourself, then at least for them, be strong with your instinct. Yeah.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for the tips. Really appreciate it. So folks, you've heard Elise. So if you are a mom or whether you are planning to become a mom, so definitely watch this one or send it to your friends or whoever you know that they need to listen to this. Even let's say you already have grown-up children like me, still it's very helpful because at least I can correct some of my behavior with my kids so they will learn how to mirror it in their relationship and hopefully when they are dealing with their own kids. Because when I had my kids, because I'm an immigrant, so you don't have any family, didn't have any support whatsoever, and I had to go back to work. So I remember when, of course, child cries at night. So this is a very normal instinct. So they do that. So I was told that I have to send them to sleeping school. So to get their sleeping on pattern, so then I will not be up all night. So then I can go to work nice and easy. So, and I put my children through that. And now when I look back, so honestly, I regret it. But that time, that's the best I thought I could do. Maybe even if I was now again in that situation, I would have done the same because otherwise I wouldn't be able to survive or go to work or look after them financially. But definitely there are certain ways that we can do better. So then have a consciously bring a human to this world, and hopefully they will make the world a better place for everyone. Amazing. That's a great topic. As a mother, I would love to talk about this forever because it just makes us more happy to know that, okay, now the next generation got the tools and the skills through coaches like yourself, so then to make a better life for themselves without having guilt. Because one thing through parenting, is guilt is a really, hands in hands everywhere is with you. Guilt of parenting. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Elise. So how my audience can get in touch with you? Do you have any program for them, a special program, any tips, any freebies and something that they can reach out to you?
Yeah, I've got my website, elisepeck.com, and there's a blog there, and I write a lot of blogs and you give a lot of insight. I find often people that they're in a similar position to what you just said. They have this instinct, they want to respond to their baby's cries, but they've got noise around them telling them not to. I find often what they're searching for is evidence that their instincts are okay. So I do on that blog provide a lot of scientific evidence, evidence-based practices that show that things like co-sleeping, bed sharing are absolutely safe when the right confounding variables are controlled for. And so people often need that information because, as you said, like there's government systems that have the sleep schools and stuff, and there's been a lot of stuff that programs have been put through that later on we've realized were not good for us. Just an example the other day was my grandma, when she was giving birth, they used to knock women out right when they were giving birth, separate the baby. And we now know that was not good for the mother-child bond. But when you're a vulnerable mother and you don't have support and a system is telling you to do it this way, it's really, you're up against a lot. Yeah. And so I find a lot of people actually, they're looking for the information. So I do provide that on my website, elisepeck.com. I do provide one-on-one support for mothers that do want to responsibly parent, just like you said you didn't have the support when you came here. I find that's the number one thing that women need, is someone that is going to support their instincts, be there in their corner, and give them the courage at a time when they're really vulnerable and there's so much noise around them, to really get to their inner voice. So I do provide one-on-one support. There's packages and that on my website with that. And I touched briefly on the relationship coaching stuff. So I've done, thousands of hours of relationship coaching, helping people with their marriage and their love life. It's all boiled down to an online program there. You can find out more about that. It's called The Love Elixir on my website as well. But in terms of freebies, it's really the blog, but also I do offer a free 30-minute one-on-one call with for responsive mamas. So mamas that, they do want to listen to their instinct. They do want a mother in that way, and they're looking for some support. I've got a free one-on-one 30-minute call. And if it's too hard to get on the phone for 30 minutes with a newborn or whatever, which I know it was for me, you're welcome to also email me. The email's on the website, and we can work out a voice memo exchange instead, so that you can do it on your own time a bit more easily. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. We all want to hear from someone who's really done there, been there, and look, you are a mom, and you know exactly how to do things. It's not that you are getting information from someone who just studied it and hasn't actually experienced it and lived it. So that makes it such a big difference. Thank you so much for your generosity, Elise, and I'm sure many people will get in touch with you to find out more for themselves. But meanwhile, so please, if you ever think that you are alone, or what you are doing, or if you want to go listen to your instinct and do something for your child and not sure whether it's the correct way to do it or not, you can definitely reach out to Elise and have a chat with her and find out more.
Sorry,
please.
I had a final thought, which is just, it's never late to be a good mom. It's never too late to be a good mom.
I love that.
But it's very healing, no matter what phase you're in, to finally turn up and take accountability of anything that you feel didn't go well, and to apologize or validate your children in their pain, and then say, you know what, I'm going to do better. And I think the power in a child feeling like you can learn and decide that your unconditional love for them is enough for you to keep trying, and to acknowledge, whatever they've gone through, but that you're going to do better for them. I think that makes you an amazing mom. Yeah, it's never too late.
Really love that. Thank you so much. I think that is something that all the moms would love to hear it. That is never too late to become a good mom. All you have to do is just reach out and find out, talk to Elise. So guys, please make sure you like and love this video and share it with your friends, or, if anybody wants to become a mom, or at least become a better mom, or for those lovely family or friends who are just trying to tell us, no, don't do this, don't listen to your kids, send it to them. So maybe they need to learn how to be a good supportive friend or family, and helping you to raise your children the way you would love it, based on your own instinct. And of course, make sure to put any comments, any questions you have. So please directly ask Elise. I'm sure she will get back to you and help you in this beautiful journey and the privilege of being a mom. Until next episode, have a happy, healthy, wealthy life. And thanks again, Elise.
Thank you so much.